Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be seeing how to use action listeners in PHP. Now basically in PHP we don't use action listeners, but it's a JavaScript, which we all know action listeners are a part of JavaScript and they will be a part of JavaScript. But since PHP uses HTML and HTML tags, so we can use JavaScript in it. So let's head right into it. The basic motive of using action listeners is in PHP programs without action listeners, we have all our text boxes listed one below the other, and then we insert values in some of the text boxes, select the radio buttons and select submit. So it kind of looks shabby because we leave some of the text boxes empty since we don't use them. Like in the case of classes, like we have rectangle class, square class and a circle class. If you want to find area of all these classes, we'll have length, breadth, radius, all these text boxes listed one below the other. But for finding the area of a particular shape, like say rectangle, we'll have inputs length and breadth only. We won't need a radius. So in that case our radio text box remains empty, and it kind of looks shabby, like unnecessary text box still remains on the screen. Wherever your mouse click works, you can add an action listener there. So let's look at a program where we have inherited classes, like we have a rectangle class and then we inherit a square class from it. We have another class called a circle. Here I'm gonna use inheritance since I have one common thing in both, and it's every rectangle has length and breadth and every square has a side, but a rectangle can be a square if its length and breadth are same. So I'm gonna extend a square class from the rectangle class to reuse this code. I'm using the basic parameterized constructor of rectangle for my square class, which is over here, and I'm using the area method of my rectangle class as well. So I don't need to create another separate methods for square, and this is the beauty of object oriented programming. That's how you do it. Plus you have a interface which has a common method area. Here I'm using rectangle class, square class, and then I'll have my circle class. So all of them are using my method area. Our radio buttons are created, and then we have our text boxes which look like these, one below the other. And then we have our classes: rectangle class, square class and circle class. For the square class, I'm using all the methods of rectangle class, and the circle class is just a normal circle class using the interface. Also, my rectangle class is using the interface, and my square by default is using the interface. Now, since we are using inheritance and we have only one text box naming side, so we'll be inputting one number over here, say 2, 3 or anything. So here we need to pass it twice. Like we have parameterized constructor for rectangle which is getting 2 parameters, and we have an inherited squares parameterized constructor from rectangle, so we need to pass 2 parameters. So we'll pass s twice. According to maths, if the length and breadth of a rectangle are same, it's a square. So this is the principle we are applying over here. We have side over here. If we have 6 centimeters as side, and then we click area of square, then we have area of square, that's side square. 6 are 36. Our program is running well and good and fine, but these text box, like now I entered a side 6 and had this circle square, sorry, had this area of square, radio button clicked, and then submit. So I am not using these 3 text box, this one and this one. The beauty of action listeners is that if I click this text box, it will pop up the length and breadth text box, these 2 text box only. If I click this radio button, it can pop up only this one text box. Action listeners code will be mostly the part of your HTML code. Add one more parameter called ID. Now ID will tell the action listener whether the action to be performed is for this particular radio button or not. For the action listener to identify the radio buttons, like we have 3 radio buttons, so we'll have 3 different actions for every particular radio button. But let's create a division format. Display plays a very important role in this one. Display is the value over which your action listener will work. You'll have a border, say 2 pixels, solid black, and all the other attributes you want to add. Now here our division is ready. Now let's add this division container to our things which are gonna pop up. One thing to remember is you have to give different names to your containers, since you have different actions getting performed on the click of different action listener buttons. So let's have a division tag or a container for our radius. Division ID equals, let's have container 1 for radius, then we'll have another container for our length and breadth, another one for our square. I have 3 different containers for my 3 different radio buttons. What I'm gonna do now is write the script of action listener. Some people may call it action listener or event listener. Action listeners are also used for your mouse movements. Here we are using event listener. So if some of you are offended, my apologies. Here we are using event listener. I have an if condition which says get element by ID 1 checked. Now this if will be true if I've clicked on this radio button, the radio button having ID 1, which is this, will have length and breadth popping up after the click of the radio button. So for it to pop up, we'll have the statement let's similarly create different functions for our 3 radio buttons. Okay, so there are a few changes that I made in the previous 20 to 25 minutes. This C of click should be small case. Remember this, it's very important. Then I had radio button 1 for rectangle, radio button 2 for square, and radio button 3 for circle. So I had a function hide 1 for rectangle having radio button 1 being checked. If radio button 1 is clicked, I had containers renamed. I have container 1, which is my container 1 over here. So my container 1 contains enter length and enter breadth, so it will be displayed. If my radio button 2 is clicked, it will have container 2 displayed, which will display my container 2 having enter side text box. And if I have third radio button checked, then my container 3 will be displayed. That's my radius text box. Now here we had a simple issue, that's my enter breadth text box is going outside this division box. So it's simple, you can fix it by increasing the height. Let's say we have 100 pixels height, and then we click, and that's it. There you are. If you wanna have background color for this division, you can have it. If you wanna have an image in this division, you can have it too. So let's finally check our program. Now it looks neat and clean after adding action listeners. I click rectangle, I enter length and breadth, I click submit, I get the area. I click square, I enter the side for square, say 4, and then I click submit, I get the area for square. Now if I click the circle, I have this circle input of radius. I have 6 centimeters as radius. Then click submit, I have the area of circle shown over here. That's it, we are done. So at this current state, we are having two problems. When I click this radio button for rectangle, I have this 300 or 200 by 100 pixel division ID, or say container, this division box. And when I click on this, I have the same resolution which was previously for my rectangle. For this to have another resolution, you can do one thing. It is remove this height attribute from here and separately have height attribute on your division tags over here. So here you can do is style style equals height, say colon, and then say 200 pixel, and then for side we don't need 200 pixel, we need 100 or 60 to 70 pixels. So let's say 60 pixels. Now we have 200 pixels height for this one, and then 60 pixels height for this one, and this one too. One more thing I said is you can have background color for your division box. So let's have it. You just need to add in this inverted commas, inverted quotes, I say cyan for this one. Let's add colors for these two. There should be semicolon in between. There's cyan, yellow, and green. That's how you do it. You can add more style tags like background image and all. Thank you, and if you like this video, like, share, and subscribe. If you have any doubts related to action listener from my video, Let me know in the comments down below. Till then, goodbye, have a nice day.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.